Hello and welcome to another tutorial on C# programming. Last video we covered how to display text to the console. Today we will be covering how to capture input from the user. Now, much like the outputting to the console, we use the console class to receive input. Now, in the last tutorial, you saw an example of this with console.readKey, and this just captures a key press. And we can use that to capture one character or anything, but for the most part, we want to read the whole line that the user inputted, and for that we use console.readLine. But generally, we don't just ask the user to. Generally, we don't have the program written to where it waits for a user to input something without telling the user to input something. So we will say, enter your name. And this will read the input that the user provides after they press enter. However, it's not going to get stored anywhere, it's just going to be read and vanish. So we need some type of variable to store that. And we do that with strings. Strings are a collection of characters put together. Technically, they are an array of characters, though you haven't learned the concept of array, so I won't really get into that much depth about it. All you need to know at this point is how to use them. And we will assign name. We will assign the value that the console reads in to the variable name. And then we can output that to the user. Don't worry about this, I'm going to explain it briefly. So now the program is prompting us to enter our name. My name's Ryan. And it replies back, hello Ryan. Now these are called escape sequences. And this \n one, that's a slash above your enter key, will insert a new line there. And that means each time we want a new line, we don't have to type this out. Each and every time we want a new line, we can use this escape sequence. Now, there's a few other escape sequences. There's /t, which places a tab. It'd be stupid to place there, but you could do it. I'm not going to go over all the escape sequences. They all work the same way. You can look them up if you want. I'm going to provide a link in the description to the different escape sequences in C#. But the mechanics are all just that way, and it just tells the compiler, okay, this is essentially the command I want you to follow. The \n is the new line one. It's pretty common to use. And these two slashes, this is a comment. comments are something that you can write out for the compiler completely ignores it. It's like it's not even there, but it's for the humans to read, to explain code or just your concepts or what you're thinking about something. And there, you can also write comments this way for multi-line ones. This is a multi-line comment. Okay, now all this is fine and cool, but it's not really an interesting program, so let's make something interesting. Something adventure-like. As you can see, you can declare a variable and assign a value to it on the same line. Oh, and this is something I forgot to go over in the first video. For each line of code in C#, you need to end it with a semicolon, otherwise it will produce a compiler error. And there's a few different types of errors. Compiler errors will stop the program from executing at all. So that is a compiler error, and it won't execute. And with any good IDE, integrated development environment, it will tell you what the error is and where it believes the error is, and that's usually pretty accurate. The most common error for new programmers is the compiler one, just because they're not used to the syntax, and you fix that just with practice, and you see what the most common ones are, and you learn to avoid them. After that, after you're used to the syntax of the language, the most common error is a logic error, and that's when the code, it technically executes, but it doesn't do what you want it to do. And that's where you have to thoroughly test your programs out and see why that happened and possibly implement a fix if it's at all possible. I'm not going to go any more in depth in the story. You can continue it on if you want. Treasure cuts off there, so I'm going to move that to its own line. And see, that's just something that you do with testing. That's it for today. I do have the first assignment for you all. Write a MATLAB program that asks the user for several different types of inputs, verbs, nouns, pronouns, etc., and then places them in the correct part of the MATLAB. Kind of using this method. Then display the filled-in MATLAB back to the player. If you are unaware of how MATLABs work, you can simply Google it and find out how the game works and get plenty of ideas of whatever story you want to tell. And here's an excerpt from Wikipedia of an example MATLAB where the user has to provide one explanation, an adverb, a noun, and an adjective, and then it fills those in. And they're kind of silly. Usually you get back a really stupid story, but that's the fun of it. That's all for today's program. Hope you found it enjoyable. The next lesson will cover different data types for storing integers and stuff like that, numbers. See you next time.